2005 and 2006 is not back in the day.
Hey guys, my name is James Walsh, and you are listening to the Wrestling Epicenter here on YouTube. I want to thank you for finding us. Please do me a favor and click that subscribe button and the notifications bell. And if you get the chance on this video, click the like button. If you do, it'll turn blue. Check it out. Also, check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for all this great content available in MP3 format, our online store that'll keep us going free and clear, daily news updates, as well as all the information from the history of professional wrestling you could possibly ever want. Check out WrestlingEpicenter.com online right now. Without any delay, let's get to your interview here on the Wrestling Epicenter.
No, is there a person more self-serving? I'm sorry, I'm just sick of this crap every year. I'm sick that we are handcuffed to having this piece of garbage New Englander in every goddamn main event at WrestleMania. The fact is, I'm sorry, you can't draw money. You're drawing
money. You take your
money.
medication.
What?
Jesus. You need to settle down, man. Relax. By the way, we're getting a caller on the line right now. Caller's on the line right now, and who's on the line with us? Who's this caller?
I don't appreciate being kept on hold while this goof rants and raves about how unfair it is that Triple H is in every main event of WrestleMania. How you guys doing, amigos?
That's Armando Alejandro Estrada. How you doing today, sir?
I do better than most. Amigo, hey, calm down. Okay, calm down. It's okay.
It's okay.
I love this sport, and it's getting wrecked. I can't watch this stuff. I'm embarrassed when my friends come in the room.
Relax. Hey, count to 10. Take a deep breath. Exhale.
I'm too upset.
It's okay. Life will go on. What's up, guys?
Go ahead, Armando. Do you think that other guys should be given a chance, or do you think a guy who's drawn 3s and 3.5s in the Nielsen should continue to get the ball?
I don't know if you can solely put that blame on that one man's shoulders.
No, I agree. That's unfair. But by the same token...
Continue.
Oh, no, I'm saying by the same token, I mean, James is the one that puts the champion, the guy on top, gets the blame. And the fact is, I mean, he is the focal point of the company right now. Him and Cena are the focal points of the company. And the fact is, I mean, do I think that it's one wrestler? No, I think it's the attitude and the direction of the company. Right now, I don't agree with the direction they're going. I think we're going away from what works as opposed to, a PG direction. I don't think is the way to go. But do I think he shoulders a lot of blame? Well, yeah, he did have the main storyline. I mean, you're backstage there and not me, so I've only heard that he has a lot of sway in how his storylines go. Is that correct?
Well, guys, I mean, he's married to the boss's daughter. Should you be surprised?
No, I'm not. But I'm saying,
it's just like, hey, if you were married to the boss's daughter, do you think you would be in the opening match, or are you more likely to be in the main event? Regardless of your ability, and that's not saying that the sole reason he's in the main event is because of who he's married to, because he was already at that level before he was married to the family.
Yes, he was, and I agree. And when people trashed him in 2004, I completely defended him. And everybody on the show you can go back and look at the archives. In 2004, and in 2003, in that time period, I thought Triple H was the best guy to be in that position. At this point, though, I don't think there's a reason. He's been in more world title matches since he won the title since Hulk Hogan. I don't think any one guy, unless he's the most compelling character of all time, should be in that many title matches. I think we need to give new guys a shot. Guys like Morrison, guys like Punk, guys like Kofi, guys like Cody, guys like Ted DiBiase, guys like Orton. I think we need new blood up there.
I think that everybody you named is well on their way. They're being groomed to be there one day. And then whether that day is tomorrow or 6 months from now or 2 years from now, I think the cast of characters that you just named, like CM Punk, like Cody Rhodes, like Ted DiBiase, they're well on their way. Those guys are on their way, and they're going to learn, and they're going to learn from guys at the top of the game right now, which are Triple H, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and The Undertaker.
Absolutely.
That's how it goes. The young guys are only going to get better by learning under the wings of the established main eventers, and that's how those guys will in turn become main eventers. MVP.
It takes a star to make a star. It takes a star to make a star.
And Triple H has put over not counting prior to Sunday. Triple H has put over whoever he worked with in the last 3 or 4 Mania title matches. Go back, let's see. He missed it in Orlando. He put over Randy, and in Chicago he put over Cena, and in LA he put over Dave Bautista.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the feud with Randy last year, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Randy got the win at Mania, but Triple H got the win essentially at No Mercy. He got the win at Judgment Day. He got the win at Backlash. He got the win. If you count them up, I mean, Orton's never been made to look superior to Triple H. Never.
Well, you know, most people are not going to remember the Backlash and the other papers. They're going to remember Mania. And just like last year, I remembered Randy Orton winning the title match. This year, Randy gave the favor back. Absolutely. So now there's got to be a rubber. So now we have a rubber match to look forward to, much like we had Steve Austin at The Rock at WrestleMania 19. That was their 3rd WrestleMania meeting. And I could see in another year, or maybe 2 or 3 years actually, having that 3rd WrestleMania match, Hunter versus Randy Orton. That's how it goes, guys. It's business.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this, Armando. We're going to kind of get off the WrestleMania topic and touch base with you, find out what you got going on. What you got going on tonight? How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I've been much better. I'm here at my newly opened restaurant in Glendale, Arizona, Baby Steak and Lemonade. Let me just get that plug in right off the bat.
Baby Steak and Lemonade.
Baby Steak and Lemonade in Glendale, Arizona. And I understand you guys have a local following here in the Arizona market. Is that right?
That is correct. Former Arizona State University radio show here. We used to shut down the station. We used to get so many people listening. So we are now back on. Oh yeah, we did pretty darn good in our market. Now, I'll be honest with you, we didn't exactly have the most wattage of any radio station out there, but we had a heck of a market back in the day, and now we're back to doing live radio broadcasts right here on blogtalkradio.com. So we're here with you.
So we're live, and I can say whatever I want, is what you're telling me.
You can say whatever you want. There is no FCC guidelines.
Ah, wonderful.
Wonderful. You're flying without a net.
I'm used to that. You know, I was on Raw for a little over a year or whatever, so.
Absolutely. So, what have you been doing since you left the WWE a few months ago? How are you doing?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm doing very well. I've had my hands tied up with the restaurant project for the better part of the last 5 months, which coincidentally was around the same time that I got my release from the company. So, I left one project and I tackled I basically jumped into another head on. And I couldn't ask for a better 3 weeks as far as the grand opening. It's not very easy, to just jump in and open a restaurant. I actually, in a few interviews I've done previously, I've stated that wrestling school in Ohio Valley Wrestling, 2.5 years that I went to wrestling school, was a lot easier than the 4 months or so that I've spent getting this restaurant up and going. And that's not a knock on the wrestling school I went to, because I got my ass kicked by Rip Rogers. Trust me.
Absolutely.
It's just a different kind of project, guys. But so far, so good. I'm very happy where I'm at. And, I'm still working occasionally from time to time, whenever my schedule permits, and whenever the money's right. Bottom line.
Well, Armando, you mentioned that you're happy where you are right now, and you're working, whenever you permit. Has TNA made any offers towards you?
No, I have not heard from anybody in the wrestling world outside of some of the promoters that have contacted me to do independence, and I've done a few shots for Puerto Rico, Carlos Colon, that's Carlito's father in the WWC.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
So much respect to the Puerto Rican fans out there. And, my time, like I said, guys, my time is here running my restaurant and making sure things go smooth.
Now, with the few appearances you have made on the indie scene, did they ask you to come in as a manager or as a wrestler? Because you were pretty good at both.
Well, thank you. I've actually done both, a lot of talking and some wrestling here and there. And, hey, I just go out. I'm still in top shape. I'm actually probably about 10 pounds leaner than I was in WWE. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe 5 pounds lighter. But I feel good. I did get my cardio in. Like I said, I'm in top shape, and whether that means going out there and grabbing the mic and entertaining the fans as only I can, or getting in the ring and getting my butt kicked.
Now, when you get in there, do you play the Armando character, or do you do more of the what you did before you donned the Armando Alejandro Estrada character and did more of the Osama character?
No, I've been Armando is an extension of me. It's me. And it doesn't take much for me to turn that switch on and go out there and be the entertainer that I can be. So, no, I'm Armando all the way. Whether whether I own that name or not, WWE owns the name, owns the trademark on it. But hey, they already know my name.
Exactly. Armando, so what do you call yourself?
Hey, they already know my name.
All right, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, Armando, you were essentially, I think about 3 years essentially, you were in WWE as essentially a manager role. Now, I know everybody agrees with me on this show that we feel managers are possibly the most underutilized resource in wrestling, because not every wrestler, majority of them can wrestle, but not all of them can talk. Clearly you're a verbose guy. Clearly you were successful in that role. Is there, backstage, is there a reason that the culture has just declined for the use of managers? I mean, I don't understand why they don't have more guys like you to help the guys who can't talk get over.
Well, that's a question that you'd have to ask the creative team or possibly even Vince himself. I don't know if Vince has been, I don't know if he's necessarily been too big on the manager. The manager kind of started to fall by the wayside about 10 or 12 years ago with the resurgence of the diva, or the reemergence of the valet. And you look at how many managers there were at in the WWE 20 years ago, versus how many valets and how many women. Look at the ratio of managers to divas / valets. I think that the diva killed the wrestling manager ultimately.
Yeah,
because the diva draws in a segment of fans that may not ordinarily watch. There is a place for that genre in wrestling, and that reaching out to that demographic is very important. The divas draw viewers.
Yeah, no, and I think, would you agree? I mean, you mentioned 10 or 12 years ago, and that's kind of the time we saw the emergence of the on a mainstream level, the heel promoter, the Eric Bischoff, the Vince McMahon, the Shane McMahon. Would you say that kind of became the new age manager for what the era that we're living in now?
Well, it's a different character that you're speaking of, where that manager was more in an ownership capacity or a leadership capacity of the. Oh, right, but you got to remember, guys, too. There's no more competition.
Right.
There's no more competition, and ultimately, when there's no competition, and when I say that, I mean in regards to WWE on Monday nights.
Sure.
We're talking about a time where there were two shows going head to head, and it was a case of, can you top this? Do you agree? When you would watch that Raw and you'd watch that Nitro, they were battling for every 15-minute, quarter-hour victory with a can you top this? It was head-to-head competition, and it was great for the wrestling business. And right now, the WWE doesn't have that competition on Monday night. So, and I don't know if they ever will.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm hoping that they do. I mean, obviously, I don't know if TNA is ever going to get to that point, or any federation will get to that point. But I mean, that time period was just, electric for both companies. For that, from like '97 to '98 was just fantastic shows every week.
1997 would have been my favorite year as a fan to watch wrestling. Yes, I said wrestling. And whether it was Monday night or whether it was Raw or whether it was Nitro, it was such a great time to be a fan, and it was even a better time to be in the business because they were making so much money. They were selling out every night, and we're talking two companies running against each other up and down the roads every week. Then you had, at the time, you had 4 prime time television shows that were 2 to 3 hours in length. I'm talking about Nitro, Raw, and you had Thunder and SmackDown. And, boy, I'll tell you, I would have loved to have been in the business at that time, not just on the sidelines as a spectator. So.
And you also had a viable third party with ECW. I mean, that was a solid nipping at the heels kind of company that was trying very hard to do what they were doing. So, I mean, you had really, yes, you had 2 big companies, and you had a really viable third company that you could, as a fan, could certainly watch, and as a wrestler, you might not have gotten a great payday, but you're going to get a hell of an education.
Right, and, much respect to the original ECW and what they did. Paul Heyman, the proverbial evil genius, Paul Heyman had a great crew of misfits, if I could use that word, guys that maybe didn't have the WWE look or, weren't anybody's boy in WCW. And they went out there every night and tore the house down and put on a different alternative to, they put on an alternative, a wrestling alternative to what fans were watching on Monday night. And boy, did they ever put out a product that ultimately, today when you watch some of the ROH, and I think they were the trailblazers for this new, strong style, high-flying, hard-hitting mold that we see nowadays with promotions like Ring of Honor and Japan as well. So great time period.
Well, going back to ECW, you were
you could
part
even
of
argue,
the
though.
WWE's version of ECW. They had you as a general manager for a while, and you talked about a little bit about the authoritarian role, like a Vince McMahon or a general manager or something like that. But they didn't keep you in the role very long. Why was that?
Well, I think they saw me with my shirt on, and they said, "God damn it, I want to see this guy in the ring." Sorry, that was my poor Vince McMahon impersonation.
That was a good one. Better than Shawn Michaels.
So I think that's what basically happened. Is it was a mutual decision to have me start wrestling, and that's why I wasn't in that general manager role. But I don't know, 8 or 9 months maybe. Something
Absolutely,
like that.
But let me ask you this question here. When you first showed up on WWE, you were obviously the manager of Umaga, and you were his mouthpiece, and you were a great manager, and your catchphrases were getting over. But I wanted to ask you, maybe you could draw or connect the dots here. What was the story behind, obviously you were kind of playing more of a Latino, maybe even Cuban character, and...
What do you mean, wait, hey. What do you mean playing? What do you mean playing, amigo?
Okay, you were
Continue.
this character.
Continue.
How did you end up managing the Umaga? I mean, obviously somebody who wasn't exactly Cuban.
The Samoan bulldozer. How did we get paired together? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well,
absolutely.
I got a call while I was in developmental by one of the creative team members and asking me to get ready because I'll be debuting in a week alongside the artist formerly known as Jamal.
Yeah,
who
was 3 years ago, right?
I'm sorry?
That was exactly 3 years ago. I remember you guys debuted, it was right after WrestleMania. It was like Ric Flair had a segment you guys interrupted or something, right?
Yes. It was the day after WrestleMania in Chicago, which is my hometown, so that was cool.
Oh, I live there right now.
And I got to debut against Rick, and that was really an honor to go heads up with one of the greatest personalities of all time. So
absolutely. Were you at all intimidated going into that role from OVW? And OVW seemed like it was just a real fun time to be. We have a lot of the OVW tapes in this house, and we watched it back in the day, and it seemed like you were just a focal point of the show, and you guys just seemed like you were having a blast when you were doing your backstage interviews and things. But going from that more small kind of set to the big time of the WWE and then working up the side against Ric Flair, was that a big intimidation factor, or were you think you were ready?
Well, rewind 1 second. You said that you guys were watching those tapes back in the day. I mean, it was only like 3 or 4 years ago. That's not back in the day. 2005 and 2006 is not back in the day. Okay.
Oh man,
right.
You have mercy on my soul, man. I've been up since 4:30.
You're saying back in the day like we're talking Mid-Atlantic 1981 back in the day. Come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to talk about the White Heat next because all the old-timers like to talk about White Heat for some reason. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just busting your balls with that, though.
To answer your question, I mean, it was a lot of fun. The time I spent in OVW, especially towards the end with Paul Heyman writing TV and Tommy Dreamer helping out as much as he did. That was just a great time to be in OVW, and to make that transition from Louisville, Kentucky on the small screen to WWE programming live on Monday night. No, I didn't have a problem with that because it wasn't intimidating or, obviously you're walking on eggshells in the beginning and you're being respectful and whatnot. But overall, I was ready. I think that it was a great transition. It was a great learning period, working in Ohio Valley Wrestling and learning from some of the best that helped make that debut go smoothly and comfortably for me because of the preparation I had been given in Louisville from guys like Paul Heyman and Danny Davis and Al Snow and Rip Rogers and Tommy Dreamer. All these guys were very instrumental in making me go from small-time Louisville, Kentucky television to the big screen. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So much respect to those guys.
Absolutely. You mentioned Rip Rogers a lot, and he's actually one of my favorites. He's kind of like a forgotten classic, isn't he, in wrestling?
Rip Rogers is my first wrestling trainer, and I learned more from Rip Rogers in 3 months than I did in the 9 months prior combined. I learned more in three months with him. So
absolutely.
He's a great mind. He's a great entertainer, and I wish that there was a camera following that guy around because
absolutely.
He is entertaining as anybody I've ever met in my life. He's a character, and he's a very credited professional wrestler. Doesn't get his just due.
No, he does not. Now, let me ask you, you worked with a guy who everybody expected to be a big star back in 2004, back in the day. And we're talking about him as a future WWE superstar, even when he was working in TNA. And in his very few matches in the WWE, you had a chance to work alongside him, or against him, I should say. And that was Chris Harris, also known as Braden Walker. What did you think of working with him? Why do you think it just didn't click for him there?
Well, I can't really speak too much on the situation because I only worked with him for about 6 minutes. You know what I mean? It's not like I had a 6-month program with the guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
We had one match. It was on TV. I don't remember. You're referring to the backstage.
The knock-knock joke.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah. I don't know. Chris was, very, he was good with me. He was safe. And, in Chris's defense, he gets knocked a lot, but, I don't know. I don't know what went on there because I know he wasn't around very long, but, they were throwing different names at that guy an hour before we were ready to go out, and he's thinking about the match in one ear, and in the other ear, he's thinking about what the hell is my name going to be. You know what I mean? So there was a few different names, and there was a few different changes that were made. I'm talking, right at the deadline, right when we're ready to do what we had to do. And what we did was live. The backstage was live, and then obviously that match was live. So once again, going without a safety net, and things are being thrown at you last minute, and things are being changed on you. And, you know, it was what it was, and, you know, Chris didn't last long with the company for whatever reason that was. But he was always good with it.
Why didn't they just call him Chris Harris if they were having that much trouble?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's something where the company likes to own your name.
You know, because that's his name. You know, so yeah, there you go. That's probably
explains it. Whether they alter your name slightly or give you a different name or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned he didn't last long, and unfortunately you ended up getting released about 5-6 months ago. What was the reason given to you behind your release from the WWE?
Well, what a lot of people don't know is that I was I was in Tampa, Florida, working out at the developmental school, and I didn't get a phone call telling me that I was being released. John Laurinaitis showed up and addressed a few people, and I asked to speak with him. And, you know, I went into the room, and I flat out said to him, I said, hey, you guys haven't been using me lately. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm down here on my own time, working out, doing what I got to do to stay in top shape. And flat out, do you guys have any plans for me? And he said no. And I said, well, I've done everything on my part, so what do you suggest? And he said, maybe you should go work somewhere else. And I said, well, then let's make it happen. And that's how my release came. And we sat down for about an hour, and we talked for about an hour about the wrestling business and about life. And, you know, Johnny has always been good to me. He's never wronged me. He didn't lie to me. Flat out. He was always up front with me and very professional. So. And that's basically how it went. I decided, all right, it's best that we part ways right now because I'm not being featured, I'm not being used. And it would be like the Phoenix Suns taking a first-round pick in the NBA draft and using that pick on a point guard that they one day envisioned being the starting point guard on the team. And his first year, he only plays 6 minutes a game. His second year, he plays 6 minutes a game. And his third year, he's playing 3 minutes a game. What do you think is happening to the progress of that potential starting point guard? Do you think he's getting better, or do you think he's getting rusty and not improving?
He's getting rusty and not improving, obviously.
You know what I mean? So that was the situation. That's how I felt. And John couldn't agree, you know, Johnny Ace couldn't agree with me more. And I said, well, let's make it happen. And I immediately went to Puerto Rico, and I did a few shots in Puerto Rico, and I continue to work out and work hard and take care of my body. And, you know, like I said, I've got my hands are full with my restaurant now. But, you know, wrestling is it's a part of me, and will I ever, you know, if there's an opportunity that presents itself down the line, I'll never say never because I'm a businessman. So
you felt you left the opportunity and the door open for your potential return down the line.
Yeah, like I said, we had a very cordial, friendly conversation with the door left open for me to return. But that door is open. I only want to walk through that door if it makes sense, S-E-N-S-E, and if it makes C-E-N-T-S. Does that make sense?
There you go. Well, actually, we actually have a caller coming through. Caller, do you have a question for Armando Estrada?
I sure hope so.
Hello.
Hello, caller.
You're
on the air.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Hey, what's up? I don't mean to change the subject, but I've been hearing about this WrestleLicious with these women. And what do you think about that?
Hey, are you Canadian?
Yes, I am.
How did I guess? How did I guess you were Canadian? He said a boot. I could point out a Canadian. I could spot a Canadian from a mile away.
Maybe you can dress up as a woman and be in this new WrestleLicious company.
Maybe not. Maybe you need to find something else to do with your time than ask me a stupid question like that. Hang up on him, guys.
I'm going to hang up on him. Thanks for calling. But you've been asked to be hung up on by Armando Alejandro Estrada.
That guy's an idiot. Make sure you don't accept any of his calls on the air anymore.
Unfortunately,
Armando.
Hey,
ahead,
when
Eric.
you look as good as I look, I don't put a wig and a dress on, okay?
Armando,
Could you
just out of
imagine how good
curiosity,
you would look if you did?
Excuse me?
Just kidding. Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Armando,
I was
just
making
out
a
of
joke.
curiosity, because I'm living in the area right now. Where in Chicago are you from?
I am from Tinley Park.
Oh, you're from Tinley Park. I'm in Wrigleyville right now, so I'm kind of.
Are you a Chicago Cubs fan?
Nah, man, I'm from New York originally, so I'm a Mets guy.
Oh, it's even worse.
hey, we won a title after the Titanic sank, so I'm fine.
Well, we won one 4 years ago. We won one 4 years ago. And I'm not talking about the Cubs. I'm talking about the only team in Chicago baseball that matters, and that's the Chicago White Sox, okay?
There you go. You know what? I didn't realize how big the rivalry was into these two with these two teams until I moved here in June, and it's insane. I didn't realize how like the north-south side hate that's actually here. It's intense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there are people in the city that choose to be Cubs fans. One of them happens to be CM Punk, and he's a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he roots for the wrong team because he's a moron. But other than that, he's all right. Now,
it's such a fashion statement to root for that team, though. I'm like 4 blocks away from Wrigley, and it's like you get people who don't know anything about baseball, like frat boys and girls that know nothing about it, go into games just to essentially get drunk and know nothing about the sport, and it actually is extremely annoying, which is why I do get a sour taste in my mouth by a lot of Cubs fans.
Now you said extreme. You said extreme, didn't you?
Did I?
You said extreme.
Yeah.
Leaving an extremely
You said
sour
extremely.
taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big baseball fan, guys, and I've gone to Wrigley Field several times. I've actually been to about 15 Major League ballparks. I try to go to a game as much as I can. You know, when I was on the road with WWE, if you had that rare day off, you know, summertime, you try to take in a ballpark. But I'll tell you, I love baseball. I love going to, you know, and there's nothing like a Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox interleague game. It's amazing 45, 50,000 screaming baseball fans, and I'll tell you, we care about our baseball in Chicago.
Yeah, it's a really good baseball town. It's actually I'm hoping to get some tickets for that coming up this season. But it's the rivalries are intense for those two teams. You're damn right on that.
Yeah.
All right, Armando. Well, we're coming up to the end of our time here on Blog Talk Radio, so we're going to let you go in just a few moments, but do you mind if we close out giving you what is basically tantamount to a psychological exam and giving you a couple word associations before we let you off the phone today?
Are you going to diagnose me as being crazy or something? The doctor diagnosed me.
That, man.
Hey, the doctor diagnosed me about 29 years ago, okay? But if you wish.
Sure. Okay, if you have a one-word answer, you can go ahead and give it. If you want to give a story, feel free to do that as well. And let's go with the Samoan Bulldozer, Umaga, for the first name.
Super heavyweight moves like a cruiserweight.
Absolutely. How about Randy Orton?
Probably the best in the business right now.
You believe that?
I think any young wrestler should study Randy as far as his psychology, his timing, his delivery on the microphone. If you want to succeed and you want to be a top heel in WWE, watch Randy Orton, along with Chris Jericho and JBL and Edge. Those are the guys that you learn from.
Last week we had Bret the Hitman Hart on the show, and he actually said the same thing. He said the best heel in the business right now is, without a doubt, Randy Orton. So a lot of people in the know believe that and agree with that.
Those other guys are up there too. Go ahead, continue.
Sure. All right, and let's just give you a couple more names here. Let's go with, how about the current well, actually he's back to SmackDown GM now. Somebody had something to do with. That is Teddy Long. He's back on SmackDown again.
Oh, I did not know that. Teddy Long, class act, old school. And Teddy's been around. A lot of people don't know. Teddy's been around, I want to say close to 30 years now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Eddie's been in this business a long time, and there's a lot to learn from a guy who's been around for 30 years and worked all over the world. Class act. What's that?
Didn't he manage Doom?
Yes.
Yep, Peanut
He
Head.
did manage
Doom. Peanut Head when he did it. Yep.
And he's the man that stole my job.
Well, how about for the next word association? How about a guy that I'm especially high on, John Morrison?
Oh, the Shaman of Sexy. He is one of my favorite guys to watch. I love watching him in the ring. He does some really cool stuff, and he reminds me a little bit of the Macho Man meets Rob Van Dam. I don't know what you think of that, but that's just my honest opinion.
That's a good combination.
Not bad at all.
What's your job in the WWE? How about Vicky Guerrero?
What about her?
That's the next word association.
Heat magnet.
How about the one who has your job now, and that is, you probably don't even know her that well. How about Tiffany?
Oh, Tiffany, I don't really know her that well. I think she debuted with me and was always very nice.
Yep, she now is the official ECW general manager as of, I believe, last night. So she's now ECW general manager, and Teddy Long's back on SmackDown. So yeah, that happened just last night. Let's close out with just a couple more, and I'll let Eric take the next one, and then I'll close out with the closer. So Eric, do you have one for him?
Yeah, I do. How about my favorite wrestler that we had a little discussion about earlier? How about Triple H?
Triple H, as far as psychology, I don't think there's a smarter performer in the company today. As far as knowing what to do, when to do it, and where. A ring general, and was always good with me. Was always good to me.
All right. And Patrick, do you have one you want to close out with?
Oh, sure. The obvious one, Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon, businessman. The boss.
Boss. Did Vince have a lot to do with the input on your character? Because there was some things that you would do out there that I could see Vince kind of, I don't want to say coaching you, but maybe suggesting.
Well, as far as the early part of my character, no. The early part of the Armando character that the fans grew to, I guess, like or want to cheer for due to the catchphrases and all maybe the funny ha-ha stuff, that was my creation, and that was all my brainchild. So as far as that goes, I would say no, but Vince was very instrumental in teaching me some of the things as far as delivery, as far as timing, and this is on the microphone. You could only learn. I mean, Vince McMahon is there wasn't a better heel than him 10 years ago. In 1998, Vince McMahon was arguably the top heel in the company.
Yep.
98 and for the good part of 99.
Absolutely.
So he's a straight businessman and was always very professional with me.
And the final question I want to ask you is, we have two, and one of them is a little bit tougher, but we're going to go with the lighter one now. Bret Hart was talking a lot last week about how when he watches the promos nowadays, and since we're talking a little bit about promos, a lot of them are scripted for you, and they're not getting a lot of chance to see the guy's real personality. Did you feel that you were kind of confined at all, or did you come up with a lot of your own stuff?
If there was something that I felt made sense, I would suggest it to the writers, and if the writers liked it, if our creative team liked it, and ultimately Vince McMahon liked it, then they would go with it. Basically, that's how it went. If you had an idea, you were able to pitch it. You know what I mean?
Points, or was it tightly scripted?
It was pretty tightly scripted. You got to remember, when you're doing a television show, especially Raw and ECW, when it's live and it's a production, you've got commercial breaks to account for, everything's got to be on the money, guys. So there's a reason for the scripting. It's because we're on TV, it's because we have commercial breaks, and we've got sponsors and people that are spending big money to air their product to our viewers. So that's why things are scripted. For the television shows. On the non-television, on the non-televised events, our WWE live events, you had more freedom and a little more time because we didn't have to worry about commercial breaks. So you were able to go out there and speak from the heart. And that was one of the things John Cena taught me, is he goes, don't think about what you're going to say. He said, just go out there and do it and say what comes from the heart. Say what you feel. And while getting across what you needed to get across to the audience. So that was something that I learned from John Cena, is especially on the non-televised live events, is to just sometimes go out there and wing it. And a lot of times I did that, and that helped me get better and grow as a performer. So thank you, thank you to John for that. And while I have an opportunity, I want to say hello to his old man, John Cena Sr., class act, and nothing but good things to say about that family.
All right, and we're going to close out with this question, and this is something that we've kind of made our staple question at the end of our interviews. Say what you feel comfortable saying, because I know it's a kind of a touchy subject, but you were there the day that everything was found out about Chris Benoit, and you know how everything went the way that it went, and now we're almost led to believe that he never existed based on the WWE, and us being wrestling fans, if we went out wearing a wrestling t-shirt, we were kind of, for a little while there, ostracized just for being a wrestling fan. And we had Lance Cade on the show, and he said that he used to walk into the supermarket and he'd feel like people were looking at him saying, there's a wrestler, he's probably going to kill his family. Did you guys ever feel terrible about what happened there and feel like you were maybe being watched over a little bit tighter than ever before and looked down upon for being in the wrestling business after the Chris Benoit tragedy?
Well, I don't know about being looked down upon. I wouldn't go that far. Maybe there's a handful of these elitists, these very small percentage of the population that feel they're better than wrestling, or they're better than watching wrestling. And a lot of them, you'd be surprised, they're actually fans, but they don't want to come out and admit it. But maybe we were watched a little bit more closely. Anytime somebody passes away, the way that Chris and his family did, that's going to make headlines, guys. You know what I mean? It's Chris was in the public eye, and it doesn't matter if it was Hollywood or wrestling or somebody in the NFL or a movie star or whatever the case may be. That's going to make the news, and that's going to the media has always never given wrestling its just due, and the media likes to look down upon it. Most media. So, that's to be expected when something that tragic happens. I mean, you got to be ready. You got to keep your guard up, and you got to come out. You don't got to come out fighting, but just be prepared. So,
were you at all frustrated as a wrestler and as a performer in the WWE when you turn on things like Nancy Grace, and you'd hear her telling everybody how big of a wrestling fan she is, while she's saying that, going down the list, and there's a picture of Road Warrior Hawk on the screen, and she calls him the British Bulldog. And
she's a huge fan, from what I understand. Yeah, she's a big fan.
And then on Sean Hannity saying things like wrestlers take steroids because it helps them win their matches. When you get obvious clueless comments from the media, does it bother you, or does it, or did you just kind of see it as, oh well, they're just the media, that's what they do?
Well, guys, the media is an opinion, and sometimes the media doesn't report the news, they like to create the news. And perfect examples of what you stated with Nancy Grace and Sean Hannity, or Hannity and Combs, or whatever their names are. Sometimes they speak when they're not informed on a particular subject. So I was always taught, if you don't know what you're talking about, then you keep your mouth shut. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 tongue, so we could listen twice as much as we can speak. So clearly that wasn't the case there, but they are media, and their job is to report news. And if there's no news to report, guess what? Then you create the news, because you have audience members you have an audience that's going to be tuning in. And if you don't have anything to say, you better come up with something.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed having you on the show, Armando, and we are now streaming. We're not live anymore, but we're recording this, and this will be in the archive for people to listen to. So before I let you off the phone, can I ask you for one little favor, and then can I also ask you to plug your restaurant one more time?
Sure.
First of all, the favor, Would you mind basically just giving us a liner to use on the show, basically saying this is whatever name you're comfortable using, and you're listening to the interactive interview?
Mm-hmm. I think I could do that. Let me see if I remember. Just give me the cue.
All right, let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Amigos, you're listening to the interactive interview with the artist formerly known as Armando Alejandro. You already know my name. The most entertaining man in professional wrestling. Yeah, I said professional wrestling live on the interactive interview.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. And finally, one more plug for the restaurant, and how can fans find out more about it, and where is it located, and all that good stuff.
The restaurant is titled Baby's, B-A-B-Y-S, Baby's Steak and Lemonade in Glendale, Arizona, and it is juking. I've got great reviews because I've got great food, I've got great customer service, and I've got great value. Conveniently located on 83rd and Union Hills in Glendale, Arizona. Check out the website, steakandlemonade.com. That's A-N-D, lemonade.com. And don't forget, check out myspace.com/TheReal Armando Estrada. Anybody interested in booking the most entertaining professional wrestler in the world can reach me at bookarmando.com. Ha ha.
All right. Thanks so much, man. And for those out there still listening, thanks for tuning in to the interactive interview. We'll be back next week with John Cena Sr., Amy Weber, Joy Giovanni, and possibly a big-name surprise guest. So keep it locked right here to WrestlingEpicenter.com and Blog Talk Radio. Armando Estrada, thanks again so much for tuning in and coming on the show with us.
Thanks, guys. Be safe.
All right, thank
you. Be safe. Have a great night, sir.
You too.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to have to wrap up here. We are long overdue. For those listening in the archives, please do check out WrestlingEpicenter.com. You can hear this entire interview as well as our interview with Stacy Carter, the cat, in its entirety over at WrestlingEpicenter.com. Guys, for Eric Clancy.
Goodbye. I got to argue with Estrada. That's pretty cool.
I find you funny. For Patrick Kelly.
Good night, everybody. I did not fight with Armando Estrada.
That's right. You're a good boy.
Yeah.
For Nick No, who had to go to work all day, and Tommy Dum Day.
Hi-ho,
and
hi-ho, it's off to work, I know.
Yes. And for James Walsh, who is extremely tired and has to be up again at 4:30 in the morning tomorrow, I bid you all adieu. Have a good night. See you all tomorrow. See you all next week, I should say.
Later, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey guys, it's James Walsh here from the Wrestling Epicenter. I'd like to thank you for finding us here on YouTube. If you get the opportunity, please click that subscribe button as well as the notifications bell. This way, anytime that we upload any new content or new to you content from our archives dating back to 2002, you'll be notified. You can check out what we're up to. Please also check out www.WrestlingEpicenter.com for all your wrestling news and information needs, as well as check out our store to keep us running free and clear. Without any further delay, let's get to why you're here. Thanks for checking out Wrestling Epicenter on YouTube.